Hi, this is Tom Rhodes. Please join me as I scour the four corners of the earth to bring you interesting and intelligent, funny people who will enrich your life with wisdom and laughter. I'll take you to Europe, Australia, all over America. I might take you to the peaks of Machu Picchu, the canals of Amsterdam, the Great Wall of China, or the swamps of Florida, and certainly the many, many comedy clubs and comedy theaters all over the world. Come hang out with me and meet the many interesting people that pop up in my life as I travel the world as a stand-up comedian.
You're listening to Tom Rhodes Radio.
Karate kick, baby.
Rock and roll.
Welcome to Tom Rhodes Radio. Happy summertime. Hello, my lovelies. I would like to start today's episode by giving you a good, long audio hug. Doesn't that feel nice? Hey, today's episode is actually a repeat. I want to replay this episode because Hannah Gadsby has set the comedy world on fire. Have you not seen her new Netflix special, Nannette? If you haven't, you have to. You must. It's kind of a game changer in the world of comedy because of the brutal honesty of the story that she tells about her life. And I think it might even change the way comedy specials are done, and that comedians might actually be a little bit more revealing about things that have happened in their life, kind of to create material that's more meaningful and more personal. I've known Hannah Gadsby for, we met at the Perth International Comedy Festival, and she's a wonderful person. As hardcore and honest as her new special is, she reminds me of my deceased sister Laura a little bit, and some of the adorable facial expressions that she makes, and just fun, lovable comments that she makes. She's an amazing human being. This episode was recorded in 2014 when her and I were both doing the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and her new show won the Best Show Award at the Edinburgh Fringe. Nannette won the Best Show Award in 2017, but I thought the show that she did in 2014 should have won the best show. It was all about art, and she was showing slides, and I love art and talking about art, and that's actually one of the beautiful things she does in the Nannette special. She weaves in her art history knowledge into the story of her life brilliantly. And, what I loved about Eddie Izzard was the way he weaved in history into his comedy. And the thing that I love the most about Hannah Gadsby is the way she weaves in her art knowledge. And I think this episode is well worth repeating because, she's getting... There was a highlight on her in USA Today yesterday. Rolling Stone magazine has a highlight on her. She's definitely got the comedy world speaking. There was a guy that I was talking to. A guy wrote me on my fan page from Adelaide, Australia. Hey, if you hear this special, if you hear this episode, thanks, because you're the reason I'm reposting this. The guy had listened to this interview I did with Hannah after he watched Nannette, and because he was looking up things on her, and he thought it was a wonderful interview or a little conversation that we had, and so he and I were trading messages, and the guy, I was saying how powerful her story was, and the guy wrote me and said that when he finished watching Nannette, he actually sat there in silence for 10 minutes and reflected on his life as a man and the way he had operated in the world. So it's that kind of powerful, this special, and that's why you need to see it. with the Me Too movement and just women's empowerment and it's just where we're at in the world right now. I think Hannah Gadsby's special just knocks it out of the park. I don't think the ball has landed yet, because that's how hard and how far Hannah Gadsby smacked the shit out of the ball when she made this special. So she's a human being I love, even before this and long after, and enjoy this conversation that I had with Hannah Gadsby. She's amazing, and you're going to love her brain. Shalom Amigos y Amigas. And we are rolling. I want to make it known to the universe that Tom Rhodes Radio gives Hannah Gadsby's show, The Exhibitionist, 5 stars.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you very much. That's a lovely review. It's probably the best one I've had.
No, you've gotten 5 stars, right?
No. But I got my favourite review was this year. We must qualify it. This year, my favourite review is she's not as good as the internet.
What?
I think it's a delightful comparison, isn't it? It's like it's a tough act. The internet. It's big. It's broad.
Yeah, I mean, it contains the sum total of all human knowledge.
Yeah, and cats.
What do you think about the fact that this year is peculiar to the Edinburgh Fringe, that all these mainstream newspapers didn't come, and so they're leaving a lot of bloggers and unexperienced theater reviewers to review comedy shows and theater shows?
Yeah, it doesn't really affect me terribly much because I didn't get much attention from mainstream media anyway. But it does rile me a little bit because, when you get someone who doesn't know what they're talking about, is critical about things that you're just sort of like, oh, it's not actually criticism. I don't know what that is. I think that's just you putting some words together with a mood.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of why I hijacked the whole reviewing process and to review your show, because if any schmuck with a website can review a show and it's important and valid, hey, I'm a schmuck with a website and a podcast.
Sweet.
5 stars. I thought your show was brilliant, and I was envious because I told you I had many years ago, I had tried to develop a show where I used art slides that I had bought from museums all over the world and photos from my life and telling the story. But I did it on because I thought it'd be cool to use an old projection machine.
Yeah.
Like, what's more boring than a projection show? Right. And it was cute, but your show is that with a lot more thought put into it.
That old chestnut. I tell you what it is. It's a great. It's a show with a lot more university debt in it. I'm putting a useless degree to use now. So that is my vision. That I'm just going to make my art history degree useful. And I think I'm spreading lies and misinformation, because sometimes people hear something about art and they grab onto it and go, that's the truth. And the thing about art is it's very interpretative and subjective, and the history of art is very difficult to prove. There's a lot of things. Dan Brown's Da Vinci Code, remember that?
Yeah, I read it.
People would read that and go, I know so much more about Da Vinci now. And it's just so full of flaws that people just go, that's what it means. And the fact that it's called Da Vinci, the Da Vinci Code. Da Vinci's just a place. He was Leonardo that lived
from Vinci, like Joan of Arc was. Yeah. She was from Arc.
Yeah. So it's like we know about the London Code. Yeah, he was a great artist. The London. It's like, no, the London was a shit artist.
What are the inconsistencies that are in the Da Vinci Code?
That's one. My favourite one is...
Is there really that star layout on the plan of the city?
Well, no, my favourite inconsistency there was the start of the whole thing starts off with... Oh, my tea. Starts off with an anagram of the Virgin of the Rocks. Is it the Virgin of the Rocks?
I don't remember.
Yeah, come on. It's Virgin of the Rocks is... and it's the anagram of So Dark the Con of Man. Madonna of the Rocks. but the actual title of the painting is Virgin of the Rocks. So that just fucks up the anagram completely. So it's just ostrich given fork, if that's the anagram then, which is a very different book. And also that painting, he read all these clues in, but he mixed up St. John the Baptist with Christ. It's completely nerdy, but, people would read it and go, yes, I know, I have an insight into this, and because it is this thing about art where people want to know about it because it's so mysterious and enticing. And it's like, but you don't know because there's nothing to know.
I read that book before I went to Paris years ago, and I read it really quick because I didn't want anybody to see me reading it.
But it's not. It's not a book you dwell on the prose.
It's not one you want to be seen reading on the bus. You know.
No, I'm not on the bus.
Just anywhere, the big blockbuster stuff. So you grew up in Hobart, Tasmania?
No, I was in Tasmania, but Hobart's the capital city, and I was the furthest away from the capital city of the smallest state in Australia. So it's a town called Smithton. Smithton. Yeah, they couldn't spell town right. I missed out the W. That's a fancy letter. And it's like, Smithton. Small town, very isolated. It built on, industry, like logging and fishing and mining, and they've got a potato factory. I mean, they don't make potatoes, they make chips out of the potatoes that we grow there. So it's, that kind of place. It's pretty cool. How
did you fall in love with art there? I mean, like getting a hold of any art book in that far away of a place would be just as difficult as finding pure Peruvian flake cocaine, I would imagine.
I think the cocaine was an easier job. I stole the art books from the library. I think I did. I've still got them on my bookshelf, and started that way. It was a bit like, I kind of had a thing for pictures, I guess. I liked drawing, but I wasn't very good at it. So then I thought I'll just learn about it. It's that thing someone with talent does, someone who can't, learns the theory shit, reviews. And so I just sort of started that way slowly, and then went to university, did a course in art history, and then I transferred to the National University and did their curatorship course.
Where's that at?
Canberra.
Yeah,
wow. Nation's capital.
Oh, yeah, really exciting town. I've been there.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's just super exciting.
It's a good place to, I think if you're going to go to university, it should be in a very boring, isolated town.
Yeah, I mean, for me coming from where I came from, it's still pretty exciting. It was pretty exciting. It was a big city, So I was a bit scared. I was a very anxious young student. Still wearing clothes that my mum made me. Pretty tragic.
I love the photos in your show, the exhibition. It's like, well, you're a golf champion, and you just
just checkered shorts. Yeah, that was
just a whole different person in a universe.
Yeah, I know. I don't identify with any of the people in those photos, and they're all me. But you just don't have the same face.
I love the baby photo of you where your head's cut off.
No head.
No, that's
special moment.
That's really you?
Yeah. Oh, Mum tells me it's me, so I have to take her word for it. Pretty sure, but
focus on the navel.
Yes. Yeah, it's
your dad coaching her.
Because I guess you forget with cameras like that, you have these small viewfinders, and you have to take the picture, and then that's it. Like, you have to wait till you get them. I mean, we live in a very different world now. I mean, I grew up with that. Like, that was my norm. But now I can't even imagine living in a world without the internet, let alone a photograph you can't instantly assess.
Remember when, you got film developed, and then I would always get double prints, because it was always good. And if there was an extra nice one, you give to a friend or, your lover or whatever. Grandma. And then, there was always half the roll was going to be shit pictures, even if you were a good photographer. You got doubles of them. Yeah.
Double shit.
It just seems unimaginable now.
I know.
To go and spend money and then, wait in line for some teenage asshole to...
It should be impossible to have a bad photo now because you have the power of veto going, delete, I'm going to delete that. We're going to have such a good-looking generation just very self-conscious.
They won't have those bad photos we had as children.
Yeah, self-conscious, duck lip, pouting cleavaged, ab-racked photos at perfect angles, but no soul.
No soul. What artists mean the most to you?
I go through phases. I don't like to pin all my hopes on one. That's too much pressure for them.
It's like music, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm going through a real phase of the Renaissance, and I love Giotto, who's a proto-Renaissance.
Giotto.
So if you've got Leonardo, Raphael, Michelangelo, the turtles.
Yeah, you mentioned that. You told me this the other day, right? Who did not belong in there? You told me.
Oh yeah, Donatello. He's pre-Renaissance. It should be Titian.
And then who's this guy you're talking about?
Giotto would be Splinter. Okay. He was beforehand. He invented a lot of things that they then took and made into their own mutant art. So he's the first guy who put a little bit of. You know how funny medieval art is, and it's like a bit primitive, and you just laugh at their perspective and things like that, because it was just done by rote. It's like a language. They were just writing a piece, and then Giotto just started to put a bit of humanity into it. Like you just look at his characters, and he's takes a lot of time with his extras, like to make sure they're not just bubbling around. They've got real personality. So I like his stuff. It's like Where's Wally, but everyone else is really interesting. Then you find Wally and go, oh.
I'm obsessed with the life of Caravaggio. Gone to Rome, seen all this stuff there, and done a private Caravaggio walking tour where they took you to all his art, showed you where he may have killed that man.
Oh, he killed him.
Definitely, right?
He did.
Yeah, he was a hothead lunatic. Yeah. But then also been a big fan of Rembrandt, before, when I lived in Amsterdam, Rembrandt was notorious for doing these, or he rose to prominence by painting scenes from the Bible. So very pious, religious people. Mm-hmm. And then his wife died, she had money, left it to him.
Pissed it up a wall.
Yeah, he was terrible with his money. And I love in the Rembrandt house, I would go there sometimes and just sit in the room where he painted. They've recreated it now, but it used to be empty. It was better when it was empty, so you could imagine it. But he's got this one room full of curiosity things that he bought at the docks so he could paint them more authentically. This guy...
But he would spend so much money on that shit.
Right, that's what I'm saying. You can see his wife, him coming home one day and his wife going, not another fucking turtle shell. Because you go in that room and there's 8 turtle shells. But then he was, so he starts fooling around with his servant girl, Hendriksia.
Gee, you know why that was? It was because in her will, his wife said he wasn't allowed to remarry.
Right.
But so he wasn't necessarily fooling around with her. It's I think they had a legitimate relationship.
Oh yeah, they did, but he couldn't marry her. Yeah.
He wasn't allowed to marry her, and he was pissing all his inheritance up a wall. He just painted himself to death in brown paint, and because I went and saw his group portraits in the how do you say it?
Rijksmuseum.
Rijks, and I like the group portraits because you know what they are. They're just vigilantes. They're just a bunch of community cops who get together at night to police the town, and they put sashes on and create their own little, they're high on power. They're like the bus conductors. And, they pitch in to get these portraits painted. We can all afford a portrait if we all pitch in. So we get this massive canvas and all our faces are on it. And so this was a thing. It was heaps of them did it. And then he painted The Night Watch, which was the most famous one of these, absolutely by a country mile. But they hated it at the time because he made it realistic, which meant that not every face...
They were ugly.
Well, not so much
and
that.
And it was for the town hall, right?
Yeah, no, but
This was going to be the thing that put him back on the map because he had fallen out of favor when they asked him to paint that painting.
Yeah, but the problem being is that he painted it realistically, so not every face was given equal value. Some were hidden at the back, others were at the front, and the light was falling on them, and that's the success of the painting, but it was the failure of the painting at the time because you got these egos, these night watch vigilantes going, "Why is my face so small? Why am I why do I get a profile?" And he's like, and these were pretend, they weren't really brave men because the brave men had gone into the army and were fighting the war against the Spanish. These were they were just lunatics. They'd be having so much fun in Ferguson at the moment.
Yeah.
That's the type of guy I imagine they were.
I saw the Ku Klux Klan is raising money for the Ferguson cop that shot the kid. That's charming. You always want them on your side.
Yeah.
For a national media firestorm.
What time? How late can an apology go?
I don't know. But Rembrandt, the thing that's remarkable about him was the religious society that bought his paintings and made him famous and rich. After he was with Hendrikje, they excommunicated him from the church. They stopped buying his stuff. So it was the same Amsterdam religious society that built this guy up that froze him out. And then and that was the great thing about Catherine the Great. When I went to the Hermitage,
I love Catherine the Great.
The Hermitage has the highest concentration of Rembrandt paintings in the world.
Yeah, she collected him.
And so she had agents all over Europe buying stuff, and she had them specifically at a time when Rembrandts had fallen out of favor, buying up every Rembrandt that they could get their hands on.
Smart lady.
Smart lady.
Did you know that it was rumoured for a good 200 years that she died whilst fucking a horse?
Tell me about that.
Well, the rumour went that she was fucking a horse and then the harness broke and the horse fell on top of her. And that rumour stayed alive for hundreds of years. It turns out that she had a stroke and died in bed. But that was the rumour because she was so unpopular, And what I told that story to my girlfriend, and I said, the story goes that she was fucking the horse and then the harness broke and the horse fell on top of her. And my girlfriend's response was just to go, "That is not how I would fuck a horse." Which, it's always good to talk to people who have different ways of looking at things, isn't it? You get a fresh perspective there. And then I've been like, how does one do that with a harness?
And what did she tell the construction worker? Yeah, don't ask any questions. Just make the diagram the way I have it.
Yeah. She was buying up Leonardo da Vinci designs, getting them made up. I put a horse on that. Yeah.
The helicopter.
Yep.
Lifting the horse.
Yeah.
So I loved, you and I worked together in Amsterdam for a week before Edinburgh, and that was great, sharing a nice swanky pad in Amsterdam South together. And seeing you work on your show for Edinburgh, the last minute adjustments, and you're really, every night you're working on your stuff, and seeing how it was great to come see your show at Edinburgh the way you've laid it out.
If you saw it again now, it'd be different again.
Even tightened it up more.
Yeah, I do something new every night at least. I change it around, I add new slides, come up with a new gag, keep it interesting. You could do it every night. And if I was to do a straight stand-up show, then because you get the rhythm of a storytelling and the jokes, that's interesting in itself. There's a comfort in that. But for a slideshow, it's good to find different markers, keep it fresh, because it could be a stale format.
Well, I liked, in Amsterdam, you're doing your straight stand-up, which is also just magnificent stories. You're an incredible storyteller.
Oh, thank you very much.
These things from your life, that water slide park story, I won't ruin it for any listener, but your water slide story is an all-time comedy classic.
It's a tragedy, isn't it?
And then boom, you come to Edinburgh, and it's I think a lot of acts at the Edinburgh Festival are working on their show and getting everything in order right up until the moment that
opening night happens. But you're casually doing your stand-up. Oh, yeah, I know my art stuff. I can knock that out of the park.
I'm pretty chill. I'm a pretty chilled character. I don't think I'm regular in that way. But what about you? Were you working on your show?
Yeah, to a degree. I mean, I put a few more real stories in it.
Yeah. Have you changed it since you've been here? Have you
responded
to the audience?
Yeah, the first night there was 14 people.
That's hard, isn't it?
And they were stiff.
Ha.
You know, I had a small night the other night, maybe like 32 people, but they were great laughers.
Yeah.
You know, but like that first night, it was just stone cold silence. And then I just like went home and rethought everything. I mean, I didn't change it too much, but certainly oh great, it's raining again.
That's not news.
Jesus, this has been like the worst weather month ever in Edinburgh.
It's not the worst weather month I've been here.
Oh really? It's been worse.
Probably the third worst. It's been 2 other years which were even worse.
Really?
Yeah.
It's been cold. I mean, everybody's wearing heavy coats. It's August.
Yeah, I love it. I love layers. Yeah, so did you, because I think audiences get moods here. I think they have a team meeting at the door and just go, how are we going to respond to this one? We'll give them nothing? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's like they decide they're a group, they're a mass. And it's here, like not all audiences behave like that, but it's definitely an Edinburgh audience. They'll pick up on each other's moods and they...
I've had a couple of those where like I asked questions and the audience just refused to ask. And then I specifically went to someone, okay, you. And then, you know, and I'm asking, you know, are there anybody from different countries? And then no one says anything, you know. But then I go, okay, where are you from? I'm from Ireland. Well, what the fuck was this? You know. I've enjoyed it. I think I've definitely grown. That's what I was going to say, is they seem to like real stories here. That's the adjustment that I made. Instead of just bombarding them with all these jokes up front, I've put in more stories. And then they're kind of hanging on the edge of their seats for the stories here.
Yeah.
Which is great.
An hour's a long time.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what, you...
But I do an hour every night, basically. You do as well.
Absolutely, but this is different in that they see about 5 different hours a day. You know, what time's your show? 10 o'clock? At 9 o'clock?
9:15.
Yeah, so they would have seen 3 or 4 shows.
Yeah, and my wife and I have seen multiple shows. Like when we saw your show, that day we saw like 4 shows.
Yeah.
So you know, by doing that, I know when people are in my audience, you know, some of them are hungry. Some of them have to go to the bathroom really bad.
Some of them,
because I've been there.
Some of them have had a drink and they really want another one.
Yeah.
You know, but they can't. Though I had one guy leave for a drink. And I told him he had a problem. Like, I mean, that's a problem if you have to leave to get a drink. Like, that's a problem.
Yeah.
You should think about solving that.
Yeah, that's all right. It's been done enough, hasn't it? Oh, hello, introduction. I love doing these. Love them. Oh, am I in my element? Oh, love it. And I particularly love that they're televised, you know, because it means that I get to go into the lounge rooms of people who hate me, right? Just to look at me, just going, what's that? Nah, right? I love that, but I usually get a bit of feedback from one of those types after I do one of these. Bit of feedback. Last year was a good one from a chap on social media. Social is a strong word. But he was a man. I assumed he was a man. Mr. Man, anonymous Mr. Man, said to me, this was his feedback. He said, "You fat, ugly bitch." Oh, strong start. Strong start. Bigger finish, though. He said, "You fat, ugly bitch. You wouldn't be raped in a men's prison on a Saturday night." It's all right, isn't it? We do need to unpack that, though, don't we? Hello, if you're watching. We do have to unpack that because he's made some bold assumptions, hasn't he? Not least that days of the week matter in prison. What is this prison? Oh, I can't wait for Saturday night. fucking confusing. But he called me a fat, ugly bitch. That, according to Mr. Man, are my weaknesses. I'm a fat, ugly bitch. Now, I'll give him fat. I'm a bit heavy, right? It's just there. I think my body's hanging on to the hope that I'll get pregnant in the desert and we'll all survive. I'll give him that, I'm fat. But I'm not giving him a bitch. I'm not a bitch. I don't have the strength of character for that. I'm too lazy. It's like, oh, are we still talking about her? It's just, I'll have a nap. I'm not a bitch, and I'm not ugly, right? I'm objectively okay, right? I have what's called symmetry, right? The ancient Greeks loved this shit. They would have killed for it. Look at it. I give good face. Good face. So I'm fat. That's my weakness, I'm fat, right? And in the spirit of self-improvement, I should lose some weight, you know? You want to be the best person you can possibly be. You don't want a weakness, right? So I should lose some weight so I can be a better person. I should lose some weight so I can what? Be raped in a men's prison on a Saturday night? There's your new Weight Watchers motivational slogan. Thank you and good night.
How's your whole month been? I mean, it seems like you're a Edinburgh stalwart now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, which is...
You're the old school now.
I'm old school, which is sad.
I think it's great. I think people expect quality from you, and...
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, and it's nice. I know.
I loved your show. I love art. I love art history.
No, it's going really well. The show's gone great guns. But it's a hard festival. It's like every year I go, this is going to be such a fun festival. I'm going to lay it all out. I'm going to join the gym and I buy a bike and then I fill up the fridge with delicious, healthy food. And then by week 3, what did I have? Butter on toast. I mean, that is just for breakfast. That is not a wholesome meal, is it? It's just butter on toast. There's no goodness there. And, just last night I had crackers and hummus. I'm like, you stop looking after yourself. But I need to bring a wife. You've got a wife.
Yeah, you should bring a wife.
I need to bring a wife. Anyone's.
Yeah.
What's
My
yours
wife's
doing?
been great. I mean, we've been I did this interview yesterday, and it was the guy Mark Dolan.
Yeah.
He interviewed me and this American comedian Julian McCullough, who's a really nice guy, but he's not having a good festival, and he hasn't gotten any reviews, and he's been having really small houses, and you can just tell the guy's really not enjoying the month here.
Yep.
And Mark Dolan was like, yeah, so I guess you guys are both, you're drinking too much and you're eating like shit. And I was like, no, actually, I don't drink alcohol now. And since I busted my head open, and my wife's playing the kitchen like a violin. We had a lasagna last week. She made a nice fish pie. I'm getting plenty of rest. I'm loving this festival.
Yeah.
I don't want it to end.
It's handy having a friend, a pal, your wife.
Yeah, but then the other thing is, like seeing multiple shows in a day. There's so many brilliant shows, like seeing your show and then seeing other shows. And then I go do my show. And you're just inspired to go give it the best that you've got after seeing, a couple brilliant performances.
You're not doing this festival right then.
Really?
No, you should be having a terrible time. Have you cried yet? You
No,
should
I have not cried.
Everyone's cried by
I have
now.
not
What
cried
is
this
wrong
month.
with
So
you?
that means my festival is a victory.
Your festival is wrong. It sounds weird. It's creepy. What is wrong with you? You're plastic. Yeah. I think you're doing it right. I'm going to bring my wife. I don't have a wife, but I'll bring, my wife. a wife, anyone's, it could be your wife. Is she busy next year? I love fish.
Asha really wants me to write a new hour so we can come back next year. And I'm like, look, baby, I'm inspired to write a new hour after being here because I would love to come back and do it. But it might not be quick enough for next year. So there's the solution.
That's where
she'll come with you next year.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can be my flyer.
I will. I'll do it.
Yeah.
What a mansion you have. We could roll around in roller skates in the daytime.
Absolutely. It's a funny old place.
We can jazzercise.
Yeah, have you seen Prancercise? I've only just cottoned onto this for
Prancercise. Oh yeah, I have seen that. Yeah. Oh, that came out like a year or two ago.
I study art.
You're busy reading art and stuff.
You know, that's not finger on the pulse stuff. I'm still in the middle.
They weren't doing it 300 years ago.
Yeah.
It's not going to come across your radar.
No, but yes, Prancercise looks really good. It's just basically it's
some like sweet old woman started it, right?
She's really skinny and frightening looking though, but it's like the skip kids do before they can actually skip, and so they're just like, oh, and that's what Prancercise is. It's like sort of trot like a horse and move your arms. I'm moving my arms, no one can see, but you can see.
She's moving her arms, everybody.
I'm moving my arms. Shut up. So we could do lots of Prancercise is what I'm saying.
Did you see the thing that's going around the internet now? And I saw, the Guardian or something put it on the homepage, was the ice bucket challenge. Have you seen this?
I just...
And people pouring a bucket of ice on their head and challenging. Oh, so the Guardian had top 10 celebrity ice bucket challenge videos.
I don't understand, like, what it does. What do you do? What are they doing?
I never... I never planked either.
No, but this is for a charity.
Oh, it is.
Planking was just something stupid to do.
Right.
This is combining something stupid to do with a charity. And my challenge would be, maybe just instead of pouring a bucket of ice on your head, just sort of donate regularly to a charity.
Cut a check.
Yeah. Like I just am confused. I guess it's raising awareness, but I don't even know what it's raising awareness for. All I know is ice buckets.
Yeah, I didn't see any charity thing attached to it. So some childhood friend put a video up on Facebook challenging me to do it, and I wrote him back and said, I'm in Edinburgh for the month of August. Every day is the Iceberg Challenge. No thanks.
Yeah, no.
I'm cold already.
Did you break a chain? Is that breaking a chain letter?
I can give a shit, and I can't tell you how many chain letters I've broken.
Oh, what
You're like, oh, you brought that bad luck into my house.
Oh, no, I've broken every single one. I've never continued.
I've never done a chain letter thing.
But I don't think I would have broken it had it been an actual letter in the post.
Right.
It's just too easy whipping off 5 emails, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, but if a letter arrived, you're like, someone physical, they could kill me. It's just, I like writing letters.
I love writing letters too.
Yeah.
I love getting things in the mail.
Yeah.
And now when you write someone a letter, it's so much more powerful because no one sends letters anymore.
Yeah, I think.
I'm a big fan of stamps.
Yeah.
Like the United States does beautiful stamps. They just did Jimi Hendrix and Ray Charles. Nice handwritten letter with a Jimi Hendrix stamp on it. Who wouldn't like that?
Grandma.
Coming to the mail hall.
My grandma wouldn't like you writing her a letter with Jimi Hendrix. She doesn't know you. She probably doesn't. I don't think she's a fan of Jimmy. She likes classical guitarists, not self-taught.
And especially not a black guy playing a guitar upside down, left-handed.
I know, right? Mm-hmm. She'd be going, the world's just changed too much.
The internet is great for art lovers now. You got access to all these major world museums now, right? Everybody's got their collections online.
There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear amongst commentators that it will spoil the enjoyment of art. But what it's done is it's excited people because people want to go and see the originals. Nothing replaces the original. And the National Gallery of London have opened up. They put Wi-Fi in the museums, in the galleries there, so you can check Google stuff while you're there. But people are getting all scared and they're like, no, that means people just take photos and not look at the art, not spend time with the art, and they won't look at it properly. And it's like, there's no such thing. There's no such thing as a one-way. Who was it? I think it was Kenneth Clark. So Kenneth Clark said the appropriate amount of time for looking at a piece of art is enough time to peel an orange and eat it.
That's the proper amount of time you're supposed to stand.
Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that a nice way of putting it, though?
Yeah.
Like, I think they should not have Wi-Fi and just have fruit bowls. And just peel an orange.
I'll tell you, you just made me think of a line that I did in that my art slideshow was, I think art was invented originally to get women to take their clothes off.
I do agree.
Say, look, baby, I'd like to paint you, but, that outfit might not be in style in a couple hundred years. It'd be so much better if you took off your clothes.
Skin will never date.
I had one where I had a Picasso, and it was a painting of a regular-looking woman. And I go, this was a Picasso, believe it or not. Because as we all know, and I'd click the thing, he liked some pretty fucked up looking women. And it was like one of those cubist looking things. Yeah. And like the woman she had like a titty coming out of her neck. And I was like, oh baby, I would love to draw the titty that comes out of your neck. What's the painting where there's a men with beards are having a picnic and they're fully dressed and the woman is sitting naked.
It's a Manet.
Is it a Manet?
Yeah, the luncheon.
So my line about that was, this painting shows that women can be talked into anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I used that yesterday on Twitter. I put it out as saying that Julian Assange must be really missing his old life. So imagine, Manet was really interesting though, because, there's heaps of those pictures where men are fully dressed and women are naked. But what makes that one remarkable is he made it a contemporary instead of making it, back in the day when they were like mythology, steeped in mythology, and the men are playing panpipes. And it's like, no, they're just men in suits. Like, here's men being pervy for the last 600 years. That's what he was saying. It's never gone out of style. And people were up in arms when Manet did it because he made it. They're like normal people, and they're just like, nah. It's got to be. They've got to be satyrs or nymphs. Can't just have them fucking naked women with blokes at the pub. Nah. I quote the French there. I get frightened of language. I can't do impersonations. I think I try and do like a Spanish one in my show and I sound Texan. I'm wearing shoes. So,
and that's a Spaniard.
Yeah, I don't know. It's either turns Indian or Southern American. Deep say. So yeah, I'm bad at that. But yes, I think Manet is really interesting. Olympia is another one. I love that.
Manet, didn't he live to be like 98 or something?
I'm not sure. He probably did.
What are some great art factoids you can delight me with? Just things about people's lives. Like we all know the thing about Michelangelo looked at the rock, he saw the angel, and he just chipped away what didn't belong.
Release them from the rock.
Right.
Yeah, he lived in squalor.
Michelangelo?
Yeah. He used to turn off. His apprentices would be like, no, this is a bit rank. Went through them. And sculpting was really low class.
Really?
Yeah, because it's dirty. It's dirty work, man. You get covered in soot, and he wasn't a painter at all. And he got, I think it's rumoured that his what do you call it? Not nemesises, but competitors. That's it. Competitors pushed for him to get the commission for the Sistine Chapel ceiling, because they said if he's that, then he won't be doing any of these amazing sculptures anymore. And that's what's making his name. So we'll busy him for 8 years or so just painting a ceiling. And he hated every minute of it because he's not a painter, he's a sculptor. He likes using his hands, getting amongst it. And it's like, but then he ended up painting one of the best known paintings in the world anyway. So there's an interesting factoid. Here's another factoid. What's the other turtle? Not Leonardo.
Michelangelo, Donatello.
The other one. I always want to say Rembrandt. It's not Rembrandt. Jesus. Shit. Raphael, womanizer. Total womanizer. So you're right, yeah. So 3 gayers, the turtle's 3 gayers and a womanizer. You do the math. What's another factoid? I think a lot of Monet, the water lily man, I think a lot of his last work, I don't think he realised was as impressionistic as it actually was because he was blind. So there's a thing. I think it's just a mess of colour and people are like, ooh, he's really pushing the limits. And I think he's actually blind. He was blind. Another factoid. Picasso was just a dirty old man.
Yeah, he's. I read a couple biographies on him. He was screwing. His wife was like 40 years younger than him, and he was screwing her friends.
Yeah,
he used that fame.
The rumor is he never paid for a meal for the last 20 years of his life,
right?
Because he'd only ever pay in checks, and no one wanted to cash in a Picasso signature. Pretty cool, isn't it?
Genius.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Salvador Dali? Does he rank in your pantheon?
I mean, not really. He was in. I mean, the Surrealists were troubling they were quite misogynist in their politics, you know. So that troubles me. Out of any of the Surrealists, like Louise Bourgeois, she was amazing. And she just used to call them silly little boys, a whole lot of them. Because they were, you know, it's basically about, they loved, what's his name, Freud. He loved Freud, right? And they took him literally and to be true. And he's not. He was a joke. He's a joke, psychologically speaking. And, you know, his theories do not stand up. But people still swallow them up because they're so much part of popular culture now. People really think the Oedipus complex is a thing. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. You know, there's no... Women are not castrated men with penis envy. We're just not.
Thanks for clearing that up.
Yeah, right. But you see, that's the thing about the Surrealists is they just really honestly believe.
They just ate it all up with a spoon.
Yeah.
There's a brilliant documentary I highly recommend you checking out. It's called The Century of Self.
Whoa.
And it's about Freud's nephew.
Oh, yeah.
And it's about how public relations was started. At the end of World War I, Woodrow Wilson brought this guy over, and it was called the Propaganda Department. And he wanted to, it was Freud's nephew, and he wanted him to help spread the word throughout Europe through advertising or media or whatever psychological means. Woodrow Wilson brings this guy over to help influence Europe and the world in the idea that the United States stands for democracy and individual rights. And they changed propaganda department to public relations, PR. Mm-hmm. And that's the first time that terminology ever came into existence. So when they come back from Europe, this guy's got his public relations firm, and he starts working for all these different American companies. And one of them was the tobacco company. Women didn't smoke. Cigarettes were completely taboo. So women's suffrage movement is happening. Women want, the right to vote and more rights. So he devised this plan in a march for these debutante women to stop, roll up their skirts, and pull out of their stockings cigarettes, and they lit them up, and they were called their freedom torches.
That's That's amazing.
And so women, started smoking because of this, because they looked at it. It was perfect marketing. You got 50% of the market doesn't use your product, and now all women wanted to smoke because it meant, independence and freedom. Mm-hmm. And then this guy did all these things, and he was Freud's nephew, so he had the rights to Freud's work. Mm-hmm. Freud hated America. This guy kept planting in the media these Freudian theories, and that's how it took hold. And it was basically so he could sell lots and lots of Freud's books.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
You like it? Century of Self.
Century of Self.
Yeah. There's a topdocumentaryfilms.com. You can see it on there.
Century of Self. I'm gonna do that.
Mm-hmm.
Hello. Hi. Now, I'm going to use my time here tonight to just ask you all to consider legalizing gay marriage. I just really need to make it hard for someone to leave me. More important things to worry about, the environment, healthcare, education. We have to fix the economy. I know that, but what's the point of having a female prime minister if she can't fucking multitask? Someone said to me, they said, gays can't get married. No, it goes against the natural order. Natural order? Have you seen Bob Catter's face? There is no natural order to that shit. No. Is there anyone here against gay marriage? Be a brave person. Brave like Margaret Court. Oh, she was brave. What a brave lady. A female sports player. Speaking out against same-sex attracted. Oh, what's next? A truck driver speaking out against people who like pies. I suppose I can console myself with the idea that gay couples technically have the same rights as de factos. Straight people who choose not to marry. Choose. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Bit of choice. Did you know locking someone out in the cold is not the same as giving them an air conditioning unit? And to get those same rights, a lot of paperwork, no party, no celebration. I don't get to pop the question. The question I get to pop is, would you do me the honour of switching off the life support if I get squashed? That's not fun. As it stands, my next of kin are my parents. Oh. These are not the people I need to be in charge of these decisions. When my dog, Ronnie Barker, when Ronnie Barker got old and sick as a dog, my dad took him to get put down 12 times. He just can't be in charge of these decisions. And my mum is far too fond of death to be in charge. She wouldn't give me a chance to fight through the coma. Shouldn't she just waltz on in, start switching shit off? Mrs. Gadsby, she's just having a nap. That was the television. That's why I want gay marriage legalised, because obviously I'm a romantic. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Any more precious art factoids?
Art factoids. I'm really bad with that. You know that Jackson Pollock worked for the CIA.
No, did he really?
He didn't really. He didn't know he was, but he was. That the individualism was really pushed by the government, and he was championed surreptitiously as an opposition to state-funded art of the Soviet Union, the Cold War. So it's like, we just let our artists do whatever they want, but whilst also making sure that his career flew.
Wow. So the CIA made sure his career took off?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible. Never been a big fan of his.
I like Rothko, you see. There's some real magic in a Rothko.
I never liked Rothko until I saw Simon Schama's Power of Art.
Oh, I love Simon.
And that Simon Schama's Power of Art is absolutely brilliant. And I love the actors that they got. The Caravaggio one I've seen probably no less than 200 times. But the Rothko one, I never,
he would sit there just for hours and days and staring at these paintings and feeling the colors. And then that one, what was it? The Waldorf Astoria gave him, he was like one of the first artists to get $1 million for his work. And he went to they put it in a restaurant, and he went there, and he was such a communist. He insisted that they give it to him back. He gave the money back because common people wouldn't be able to enjoy it.
Oh.
And I mean, that's the Simon Schama episode.
Yeah. And then
when you look at it, you go, man, it's just beige. Dude, take the $1 million.
It's not. They're beautiful. A Rothko's one is something you really cannot appreciate and off the, and digitally. Like the canvases are incredible. And they've made a, what do you call them? A cathedral, a Rothko Cathedral. And so it's a place, I think it's in Texas. I think it might have.
Really?
Yeah. Where you can just go and sit and contemplate and pray amongst a whole bunch of Rothkos.
What are your holy, magical sites for art? I mean, I'd put the Hermitage up there.
I've never been, but I'd love to.
I'd love to go back there.
It's not a great place for lesbians at the moment. Mine would be Giotto's Scriveni Chapel.
Where's that?
It's in Padua, which is north of Pisa. Where the Leaning Tower is. And it is a little chapel. It's a tiny chapel. It's very nondescript on the outside. But you go in and Giotto, Splinter from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, he's done this, it's the Virgin Cycle. And so it's the life of the Virgin Mary, because I had to fill in a lot of details, because the problem with the Virgin Mary was she was a virgin, and that's an easy one to pick holes in, so to speak. And so they had to make a lot of back history for the Virgin, because in the Gospels she was barely mentioned. She's like, oh yeah, she's just, his mum was a virgin. Yeah, totes cool. And then later on people go, hang on, I reckon she might have been a slut bucket. And that's, if you slander a religion, it gets you into trouble. It's a good way to fight a religion is by slandering it. And so that's what they do, the Virgin was a slut bucket. So then they wrote in the gaps gave her like this virtuous life. Her parents didn't even have sex to have her, all this sort of stuff. And that's the immaculate.
Sounds like North Korea mythology.
That's the immaculate conception. Anyway, so she gets the cycle done here by Giotto, and it is just beautiful. Like they only let you in a few at a time, so I think there's only about 10 people in at once, and there's a slight panic to it because you're only allowed in there for 3 or 4 minutes, or maybe a bit longer, but it didn't seem long enough. And I'm like, well, we've got to look at. Whereas you just want to sit and just you spend hours in there. This tiny little chapel in this brilliant blue, and these beautiful figures just telling. It's a real narrative cycle, so you can just. In 3 layers, and he's done fake marble. He's painted fake marble, so you're like, oh, that's lovely marble. Well, he just painted that. It's exceptional space. So that's an experience, that you need to have.
Have you ever been to the Villa Borghese in Rome?
No, I haven't actually been able to get to Rome yet.
Oh wow! Oh my God!
I know, right?
Your skin will tingle.
Yeah, I'm scared about getting hit by a car and crossing the road, but otherwise I'm very much looking forward to going to Rome. I've done, because, Australia's so far away, you don't just get to spend time in Europe. So every time I do Edinburgh, I go and do a little city. So I've done Barcelona and Berlin and Florence and Paris. I said Paris. I don't know what else I've done. That's enough, though. That's quite a bit I've done. So I just go and spend a concentrated amount of time.
Nice.
Hang out, eat their food, drink their wine, and look at their art. I like to look at art a little bit drunk. I think people get too serious in galleries, so I'll go and have a G&T at 10 in the morning. And in the Uffizi in Florence, my friend and I would play Root, Loot or Boot, which is basically in each room you pick a painting that you would like to loot and have for yourself. Boot, get it out of here, it's a shit painting, just get it out of the gallery. And then root, of course, it's Australian slang for a bit of sex. And so you just find someone in all the paintings that you would root. So root, loot or boot. which is fine for a lesbian or a man, heterosexual man, because, there's a lot of hot ladies in the history of Western art. But my friend, she had to sleep with a lot of Jesuses because they're often the hottest ones in the picture. You're either like an old, important man or a Jesus.
So let me get the game right. So it's what painting you would steal if you could.
Yep, loot.
And then what figure from a painting you would have sex with if you could.
Root. And then there's also boot.
And then
boot is get it out. It's a shit painting. It doesn't belong in a gallery.
Yeah, okay.
The one you don't like. So
you would do that in each museum that you went to?
In each gallery space, within the gallery. So each room you walk in. Root, loot, or boot. It's a great game.
Well, if you have a gin and tonic before you go.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
It's perfect game.
Yeah, it adds a little bit of colour, a bit of charm in a gallery. People get so serious and people get so scared in a gallery because they're not sure what to do. So I said I play root, loot, or boot and have a G&T. In Amsterdam, I got high. I took my little pipe and just kept getting high. I mean, I'm not much of a dope smoker, but it's legal there, so, why not? So, and I had the best time because you just relax a little, don't you? That's what's, and I saw things I hadn't seen before. I was familiar with a lot of the paintings, but had lots of ideas.
I think getting high and going to the Van Gogh Museum is one of the best uses of marijuana ever.
I did that, and I coupled it with listening to the Beach Boys. What's that album? Animal Sounds?
Pet Sounds.
Animal Sounds. Pet Sounds. That album on loop, high as a kite, walking around. And it's the perfect soundtrack to Van Gogh. And also what I like about the Van Gogh Museum is Odilon Redon. They've got a bit of his work in there, which his stuff is great. He does the eyeball hot air balloon. Brilliant stuff. Tiny little black and white etchings, sketches, I don't know. Anyway, I keep whispering. I hope people are picking up on that.
It's okay. I want to go to the Prado in Madrid. I've never been there to see the Goyas.
Yeah.
And I want to go to Malta because Caravaggio's beheading of John the Baptist is there.
Yeah. Now, the Prado's exceptional.
Have you been?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. The Prado that's Madrid, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to go again. It was quite a long time ago. But they don't exhibit it like it anymore, but they used to, they had the Velázquez in there, and I have it in my show where Velázquez paints the Spanish royal family, and
Yeah, it's hilarious.
And it's in the background there's a mirror, and that's of the king and queen, walking as if they're walking into the room. So he's painting the portrait of the king and the queen, but in actual fact it's just a mirror. Anyway, it's a complex piece. But the way they exhibited it in the gallery at the Prado was they had a giant mirror on the other side of the wall. So you could look at it in reverse as well. It was quite incredible.
Brilliant.
Yeah. But they don't do that anymore.
So what painting would you loot in the entire worldwide collection? If you could have one painting, what would it be?
I think it'd be Goya's swimming dog.
Not Guernica.
No, too much grey. It's not. It's a very grim painting. It's a very violent, hectic painting. I mean, the swimming dog is, it's still bleak and grim, but there's a meditation you can have there. Or Manet's Olympia. I love her. She's pretty exciting. And live in the flesh, so to speak. She's a luminescent. So have I said the right word? Yes, she's a beautiful, beautiful painting.
And who would you root?
I kill two birds with one stone. Possibly. Who's my favourite lady? Well, she's up there. She's well and truly up there. There was one I was looking at the other day going, hello. It just makes you feel like a dirty old man. And that's essentially what art is. Like, it's dirty old men business. Like, they're just this filth. It's just filth. It's justifying porn. That's what Western art history is, justified porn. Now I'll go with Manet, kill two birds. And boot? What painting would I boot out of Western art? There's an artist I don't like. I'd boot a few Monets out. Just a few too many. Like, I feel sorry for Monet because he used to be in his time, he was a real renegade. And now he's just for women who wear lavender.
Water lilies.
Yeah. But, at the time it was groundbreaking. It was impressive. It was really, innovative and dangerous. And I just feel so sorry for him. I once worked in a bookshop at the National Gallery of Australia in Canberra. And we had a Monet exhibition. And this woman came past and she said, "Which way to the Monoir?" And I'm like, it's a Manet. I think you find it's Monoir. I think you find it's Manet. It's Monoir. And then off she trotted. And then when she came back to get the companion, the book, the gallery guide for the Monoir, she got out and I said, "Did you enjoy the Manet?" She says, "Monoir." Like, she just held on to it. And then she pulled out her purse and I said, "Well, that's a very lovely Wallois."
I think I would loot one of the Rembrandt self-portraits.
Yeah.
Be nice to have that. Because he had such a troubled life and he was a genius.
I like the one in the turban. I'd loot that.
There's one he did with a sketch where he's making a funny face, where he's young and he has this frizzy
his eyes
hair.
are bulging.
His eyes are bulging and he's doing this funny mouth face. That's the one I want, actually.
Yeah,
so it's not really a painting.
It's just being a dick in front of the mirror.
It's a sketch. Yeah, exactly. And it's funny.
Yeah.
It's him being silly. Salvador Dali's Girl with Curls.
You would root?
Wow, what an ass. You ever seen that one?
Yeah.
And then Boot, there's too much shit to, lots of Jackson Pollock, I think. In your show, you've got all these paintings of this period of men with cod pieces. What was the thing with cod pieces? And for, people listening, the cod piece, those things that men wore a few hundred years ago where it's like wraps around your waist and it's like you got like a
permanent boner.
Permanent boner sticking up.
Yeah, well, basically what happened...
That was all the rage in England, right?
And in Florence and Italy as well. No, the thing was, right, for a very long time, breeches, men wore, basically they just wore two legs tied with a bit of rope. So there was a bit hanging out there, but they had long tunics. And then the fashion of the tunics meant the tunics lifted up and they started flashing. So then they just put a piece of material over the top. And I think it was King Louis VIII, I might be wrong. Not King Louis, King Henry VIII, might be wrong. But he really brought it in going, we could actually upsize. We don't just have to drape a bit of material. Let's just, this is my fucking cock. Let's bring it out. This is power. And so he started, and it was a very short fashion, but there are so many paintings of cod pieces, but it was only about in for 50 years. I guess in the scheme of things, it's longer than skinny jeans, but it was, 50 years, the cod piece, 50, 60 years it was around in the 16th century. And then what happened is they learned how to, make a whole trouser instead of two legs with a cod piece to cover up the willy. But they're just funny, aren't they? Like they're just, and it's
like
so
that
sad.
here, like when the Dutch did those big things around the neck, those big fluffy things.
The doily.
What the hell was that? Like you could barely. How are you going to eat or move your neck?
It's Puritan, though.
Hey, look at that! I can't. I'm keeping up with today's fashions.
I had surgery on my ear. These fashions, it's so sad for these people who want to be remembered in history. And it's so sad that they look so silly. And that's what we must be careful of now. It's like fashion is just by necessity, it dates you and makes you look silly. like high jean shorts, short shorts with high waists. You're going to look silly. Don't ever get a painting done whilst wearing that, because that is up there with the codpiece. High-waisted short shorts.
What other valuable lessons can we learn from art history?
That you need to take great care with your visual legacy. Much more care than we take. See, we're making problems for ourselves by taking so many photos and uploading them onto. They don't disappear. People think because they're so quick and easy to take a selfie that it's gone. It's it's up there, gone. Get another one up there, gone. But just forever, and they will come back and haunt you. Or maybe we'll just change our way we look at ourselves and we're much more fluid. John Burns, who's got an exhibition here at the National Portrait Gallery, he said he thinks identity is fluid, and so you're constantly changing, as is your face. So maybe, we find it hard to look back on ourselves and be comfortable. I don't even recognise myself in my childhood photos. It's because I've lost that skin. I'm technically a new person. I've shed it like a snake.
Right, and your ears and your nose keep growing your whole life, right?
I've got a tiny nose.
You do, man. You'd be great to do cocaine with.
Would I?
Yeah, you can only get so much up those little nostrils.
I've got a lot of power on the breath. Tiny nose. It wouldn't cope with a coke addiction. It would just crumble. It's already a bit Michael Jackson.
Yeah, very nice nose. And your jawline, of course, is
very nice,
world renowned.
And I've got a lovely little face. Just goes pear-shaped from there.
You do, and you got perfect hair. I wish I had your hair with the floppy bangs for contemplation. Mm-hmm. And you're thinking, and you run your hands through your bangs.
There it goes. Sweeps it back.
I was glad I went to the National Gallery thing that I saw you do last week.
We feel
also,
jealous.
and I like that you told me you're doing like some art programs on television in Australia.
Yeah.
I like you talking about art. I really enjoy.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's fun, isn't it? I think art is quite easy to make fun of from a point of ignorance. It's very easy to just go, well, that's a bit shit. Look at that funny detail, which is to a certain extent what I do. But then I studied it hard and for many years, and I really love that part of it. So I combine the two. Like, oh, she's got a bit of crinoline up her ass, and then also go, this is what this actually means. Not the crinoline bit. There's no reason for that. That's just silly. That's Reuben. I don't like Reubens.
No?
Yeah.
You don't like the big women?
The big women are fine.
Yeah, and he had uninterrupted fame and celebrity while up the road Rembrandt was suffering and people weren't buying his stuff.
Yeah, and that's the problem, right? Rembrandt was suffering because he was breaking the Christian values. Whereas Rubens, because his naked women were wrapped up in mythology, he was fine. But essentially it's just dirty old men painting. Art was invented so dirty old men can have naked women on their walls to look at. This is not strictly true, don't quote me. You won't find any backup to that, but there's a fair whack of dirty old man in Western art. So I don't like Rubens. These women, it's like they could do so much, yet they're just lolling around on the ground wrapped in fabric and just and just going, oh, flowers. It's like, fuck off, do something. It's not their fault. He's just basically on, can you strip off and just roll around the ground a bit?
Well, and then Gauguin went to Tahiti and painted all those naked brown women, but you talked about him in the show. I thought he was like a stockbroker in Denmark.
Yep, he was.
And then he left his family. He went to Paris, and then he goes. Van Gogh wanted him. They got this idea from Japan to go make these little art communities. So he wanted to go to the south of France and do this. And Gauguin was the only one who would go down with Van Gogh. But Gauguin was kind of like a bully and a dick to Van Gogh. Yeah,
Van Gogh was a delicate flower.
And the woman that he cut his ear off for was a prostitute named Rachel. Oh. And Gauguin was there and was, buying her attention or whatever, making Van Gogh jealous. That's the part of the story that that people leave off, right?
Yeah, and then
Gauguin was instrumental in this very sensitive man chopping off his ear.
Yeah, and then he went to Tahiti and got venereal disease. He was a no good hustler.
Yeah,
And but his art was very interesting. But you know, I mean, we're living in an age where now we have to think about whether we will forgive artists their indiscretions, because their indiscretions are no longer okay. You know, Rolf Harris is one. I mean, not that he was an artist, but people had to really work out how they felt about.
that's his English television star who manhandled some young ladies.
And even more recently, the guy from Kiss.
Ooh, Gene Simmons?
Gene Simmons was caught on radio just going, I don't know why can't suicidal people should just kill themselves. Right, just going, I don't have time for this, just kill yourselves. And
He is such a creepy scumbag.
and then, but you know, he's facing that backlash, like people are going, you know what, we don't want.
Oh, he said that after Robin Williams.
Yeah, we don't want to listen to your music. Like people are actually making a decision to go, yeah, it wasn't that good if that's your backup.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, Caravaggio didn't put up, you know, he killed a man, he still sold a few. He still survives.
Yeah, well, he had a little more integrity in his work than lick it up.
I saw Gene
Lick it
Simmons.
up.
I saw Gene Simmons' sex tape.
Oh, really?
He should kill himself.
There was on NPR in the United States, Terry Gross is this loved,
Did that just make you think of the name Gross?
No, but he was on Terry Gross, and, that's our little intellectual, source in the United States. And she interviews authors and politicians and all these smart people. He was on there about 5 years ago, and he's hitting on her. And it was like the most uncomfortable, creepy thing ever. And it's like, man, dude, put the dick down just for a minute.
I mean, I think also it can be endearing if it's a cocky young man, as well. But he's no longer a cocky young man. He should know better. Even for a time, it was kind of cute when Justin Bieber was hitting on people, because he was like, dude, you're not old enough. You know what I mean? To a certain extent, you get that rock star status, and it's just a silly young man. You can hit on someone, who, well, not hit, but, flirt. Mm. But Gene Simmons, and now Justin Bieber is old enough to know better. You need something else. You can't be coasting on that, because you no longer have that Gene Simmons. I'm going to judge him by the same way that women are judged. He's too ugly for that kind of behaviour now.
That's good.
Yeah.
Hannah, I adore you. Oh, I almost forgot. When we met, we were doing the Perth International Comedy Festival.
Correct, we were. We got so drunk.
You were drunk?
Oh, the whole time.
I think it'd be a great scene in a movie. We were doing this big gala of the festival together, and I had never met you. But when we're talking backstage, and you have a certain magnanimous aura. I mean, you just we talked, and you went on stage, and I was being a real smartass. You destroyed the place. And then you come off stage backstage, and I go, I was being cute. I go, before you went on stage, I had no idea you were a lesbian. And then I go on stage a few minutes later, and then when I come off stage, you go, before you went on stage, I had no idea you were an asshole. I mean, there'd be a great scene.
I'd forgotten about that.
It was so funny and so spot on, and you topped me. It was great.
Yeah,
but
funny.
I'm glad I got to work with you in Amsterdam.
Yeah, that's
and
good.
Get to know you better. And I'm a huge fan of you as a human being and your comedy.
I'm all right, aren't I?
What advice would you give? You are all right. The Tom Rhodes Radio 5-star review, baby. What advice would you give anybody wanting to do the Edinburgh Festival? Don't.
Just
stay away from it.
I mean, I don't know. Just make sure you've got something you want to say. Just something you're proud of, and bring a piece of work you're proud of that will stand up to the weather, and bring your wife who makes fish pie.
Crucial.
Because it is an arts festival, it can get really competitive, and you can feel really lonely, and you can feel like you're not worth it. But if you believe in what you're doing, then you can weather any storm. Gosh, make myself sick. Oofed.
What is the best advice you've ever been given as a comedian?
Get on stage, tell a joke, and fuck off.
Pure and simple.
Yeah, just tell a joke. And don't get sticky feet. Do your time and get off.
Sticky feet when you're running over.
Yeah, and it's like, when you don't get a bigger laugh at the end that you want, so you keep going. Yeah. Don't do that.
Just end it.
Just end it. Next time, do a better run up. It's like, just not... Just, you're doing the long jump. It'd be like just going, oh, fuck, that wasn't long enough, and immediately going around and trying again. You can't do it from a standing start. So you either nail it or you nail it the next time. That's my advice. I get so sick of people going, oh, that didn't work out. I'll try another one.
Yeah, and then they stay for 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, and the audience is like, well...
We decided we didn't like you.
Yeah, we gave you what you deserved. Have some respect, for yourself and the audience.
Well, if you're the last act, it's one thing. But when there's like a whole show behind you, God damn, that's irritating.
Yeah.
And that person just stays and stays. And,
it's even worse when it's the MC. Imagine.
I hate the fake start introduction when somebody's like, hey, your next act is great and da-da-da, and it's come all the way from America. Oh, wait, I just remembered a big long joke I want to do. And then you're standing there and your adrenaline's pumped and you're ready to hit the stage. And then, they do half the introduction and then hate that.
Yeah, we hate so much, Tom. You and I, we're full of hate and rage. We must.
There's got to be an antique shop here where I can find a cod piece.
I wouldn't go for a second-hand cod piece. That is my advice to any up-and-comers. Make sure your cod piece is fresh. There's a whole thing with cod pieces with, also a good hiding spot for your venereal disease ointment. And that's why there's a lot of red cod pieces, is because the venereal disease ointment had red dye in it. So it disguised the fact that your genitals were bathing in ointment.
Wow, there's a not so fun fact.
Yeah. So stick that in your pipe.
I appreciate it. Hannah, I adore you. In closing, do you have any words of wisdom or advice for the people of the earth?
I think I don't. Just get on with it. Just get on with it.
Just get on with it, baby.
Just get on with it. Keep on trucking.
Love it. Hannah, long may you run, sister.
I can't run.
Long may...
Got bad knees. So bad.
Well, long may you continue to do what you do. If you want to give and support us or donate, Patreon, patreon.com, patreon.com/Tom Rhodes Radio Smart Camp. And if you want to enrich your life with wisdom and laughter, you can buy my brand new album, All Hail Laughter, on iTunes and Amazon. It's a double album, and it will certainly enrich your life with laughter. Enjoy.